double checking everything. We are. Would you look at that?
Oh, it's delayed.
Yes, there's a delay. I might trip you out, but the man, the myth, the legend. Chris Kinerk, right? Can I get it right now?
Kinerk, yeah.
You know I announced your name wrong multiple times.
Oh, I know. It's okay.
You need to correct me. I hate doing that. People like don't correct me, and they're like, "It's okay." Like, I spent a whole season saying it wrong. I feel bad.
It's Kinerk, I think. I just didn't want to be an asshole. I was like, he'll figure it out eventually.
Not if no one tells me.
True.
So it gets pretty tough when you get this just list of all these names and trying to pronounce them right. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, I know.
you're gonna butcher some, and there's some weird ones, man. That like, literally, you're Paul. We'll just call you Paul right now, just for the sake, so I don't totally just pause every time. Just Paul.
Yeah.
But we have Chris Kinerk and Bobbie Casteel. How many times have you been on, Bobbie? Is
This is only my second time.
second? I thought you'd been on twice already.
No. You haven't had me back yet.
We
again.
talked about it though.
We've talked about it.
Yeah, we've talked about it. We got you on. Got you on with Chris too. This is gonna be a fun one.
Yeah.
Hey, my brother from another mother.
That's right. Wouldn't have had it any other way.
Neither would I.
And of course we have intern Joe. Joe, how's it going, man?
Good.
Did you turn your mic off again?
Yes.
So I take it you don't plan on saying much in this conversation.
No, we have a couple guests.
Okay. See, Joe is a man of few words. Sometimes by the end of the after show, he has a few more.
Yep.
But typically, you can count them on both hands. Who was it, Lancaster, that was actually trying to keep count how many words Joe would say tonight? That's 17 tonight.
I remember I've followed your podcast for the most part as much as I can since its inception, and Joe's always been a man of few words. So it's been interesting the times that he has actually spoke up. He usually has some pretty valuable things to say.
Yeah, he pretty much only speaks when he's got. I mean, when he talks, you might want to listen.
Yeah.
Unless it's a "that's what she said" joke.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've heard all of those now. You know, it's actually messed us all up because I'm always on edge now when I say something like, "Oh, that's setting someone up for "that's what she said."
Sure.
Like he's ruined it.
Sure.
Everyone in the shop, Zach, Ryder, we're all on edge. That. Oh wait, maybe I shouldn't have worded it like that because we're thinking out of nowhere there's gonna be "that's what she said." Thanks, Joe. But anyways, Chris, might as well get down to the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Chris, formerly of The Ridge.
Yes, sir.
Not anymore.
Nope. Just moving on to different things. It was an awesome opportunity to hone my skills out there and create something that a lot of people call home. And it's a great track. It is unfortunate that things came to an end the way that they did, but everything happens for a reason, and I'm super grateful for the opportunity that I had there. I got a chance to really perfect my craft and utilize the place as a resource for my future endeavors. And I hope that it does stay around for a long time. I hope that they can find somebody to come in there and continue to figure out how to navigate the waters. It's a very different business structure, being a road course and motocross track facility. So it's challenging in its own self. And then, but I hope to be a paying customer there someday. So.
Now, how did you get started out there in the beginning? Because the motocross track was only around for a couple of years, right? 2, 3. Maybe?
It was brand new. I believe they broke ground on the motocross track like late 2014. And then I was a mechanic at Motorsports of Olympia, and they advertised for like a test and tune ride day, and you had to kind of send in a description as to why you felt you deserved to come out. And I think they ended up inviting like 30 people to come out, and I ended up being one of them. And I didn't know at the time that Tracy, the general manager, was kind of interviewing me as we went along. She, I think, saw kind of my social media platform that I had and the following. Anyways, one thing led to another, and the next thing I know, I'm sitting in an interview with ownership and management, and they hired me in, I think, late September or early October 2016. And then our first public practice day was October 29th, 2016. And that was the first time the track had ever been run. I think they had tried to hire somebody else prior to me, but it didn't work out. So I pretty much, had an opportunity to create that place for what it is today on my own. It was pretty cool. It was really cool.
So you got in right at the beginning, early. And Bobbie, when did you meet him?
Ooh, we met. Wasn't it 2017?
I think
It was. We met at Riverdale in the end of 2017. I kind of approached him because that was kind of when I got in with Veterans MX. So I was trying to kind of start that promotion phase and trying to see, hey, would somebody want to help us get going? And I actually was super intimidated to even approach Chris because, you kind of get his track manager. He's not going to give you the time of day kind of thing, right? And then I approached him. We had a great just conversation, rode together that day, rode together a couple days afterwards. And then I helped you out first part of the next year, right?
Yeah, I think you helped me. What was it? Some boots or something?
No, it was a helmet, remember?
Helmet, yeah. Now I remember that day, actually very well. I was parked next to you up against the construction fence by the river. You came over and talked to me. You had the 250 SX Stanks old bike, right?
Yeah.
Stank Dog's old bike. I remember that very well. Yeah. And then it just kind of blossomed from there.
Yeah.
So you guys,
Snowballed, whatever.
So you guys have only known each other about a year or two then? Met at the track?
2 years.
Yeah,
2 years?
2 years.
2 years now, okay.
So.
And you guys both got your gigs going. Yeah, I know. Talking to track managers are usually assholes. It can be a little tough.
No, I've always just kind of felt like for me, I just felt like I'm another dude that loves dirt bikes. I just happened to get put in a really cool opportunity. But at the end of the day, I'm no different or better than anybody else. I don't have the credentials or the backing say Huffman or RV or any of that stuff. In the big picture, I'm nobody. So why would I go and treat anybody any different,
See, I would disagree. I think everybody's the same. I think, you could say, okay, you can go into past accolades and stuff. Okay?
Sure.
For example, Huffman's got a lifetime of racing accolades. But, in the scheme of things of doing business and planning and scheduling, I'm I view Huffman the same as anyone who runs, like the bike pit. I bring up the bike pit all the time, and I am the worst person in the world for continually missing the races out there. Paul has reminded me. But, and then we got Horn. I think they're all the same, man. And in the end, also, they're still all people.
Sure.
Sometimes you run into, I'd say most of the people are pretty cool that are like owners and managers around here,
Yeah.
But that was one thing I noticed when I met you, though, was definitely, I think it was the PRO when I actually met you in person.
Yeah.
And you just came right up and shook my hand. It was just super chill. And I was like, I don't know, it was good vibes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like that. You can learn a lot in the first 2 minutes. And
Sure.
yeah, no, the way you held yourself, and you could tell just another dude. You like riding dirt bikes, but you got a job to do that day, so you're running around. I don't know how many times you ran around that track,
Dude.
I mean, I can only imagine because, with the Pit Bike National, my Fitbit said I did 35,000 steps or something like that.
Yeah.
Watching you at Pierrot, you got me beat. I'm pretty sure you had me beat, man.
I had the Apple Watch for a little while till I broke it. But I think I averaged about 22 to 25,000 steps a day. Some days were more.
You're moving from sun up to sundown, taking care of this, taking care of that. I don't know if everyone watches that. I do though, and I've been there, and more than I care to admit.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that goes on to just keeping the show going.
Oh man, it's never ending, and you got to have your hands in all of it. I think at least I did, because I'm pretty OCD about how things are done. I wanted them to be a certain way. I wanted it to be to a certain standard, and there was we didn't have the greatest dirt in the world that held moisture, so you really had to stay on top of it. And so that was really important to me, because I know that that's what the riders come for. If the dirt isn't good and the track conditions aren't good, then they're not going to come. So that was a huge portion of it, but then there's all of the logistics and making sure the day is flowing good. So you're kind of, just going everywhere like a million miles an hour.
So what all were you doing out there? I mean, were you actually on the dozer, like prepping the jumps?
Yeah, I did all the dirt work. I did all of the sponsorship coordination. I did all of the scheduling as far as like creating the races, laying out the schedule for the races, making sure that as best as we could, we weren't overlapping anybody else. As far as the day of stuff, Courtney was a huge help in all of that while she was there. She handled kind of all the back end stuff and all of the stuff with the registration and waivers and answering questions. So that way I could really focus on the track and the crew that's out there doing their job. But yeah, pretty much everything from dirt work to staff management to event coordination and sponsorship coordination. I did it all.
That's a lot.
It was a lot. It was crazy.
And you had no prior promotion experience really before that? Like you never ran events or anything?
Correct. Yeah.
So you just got thrown into the fire.
Yeah, I cut my teeth in 2017 with our spring series. And I think looking back on it now, I'm glad that the turnouts were light. Those first two series, we did a spring and we did a summer series. And I'm glad the turnouts were light because it really kind of helped us fine tune everything. And then in 2018, we had a pretty good series and we learned a lot. And we really I learned as a new promoter, I learned a ton from PRO coming in. And that was really like, I can look back on it now and say from when PRO came in forward, we really got the ball rolling because it showed me all of my weaknesses. It helped me look at things since I was in charge of the track and everything, but I could step back and see how the event was run. It helped me. And then that springboarded us into 2019 in the Best in the Northwest series. And we had a super successful year. Hopefully they finish it out strong.
Yeah, it was pretty helpful for me because, like I was saying earlier, that's where I met you was actually PRO in person. We chatted, but in person because I was the announcer. And but I'm also promoter for my own stuff. But it was helpful to see all the different tracks with all their different setups and all their different people.
Yeah.
And it can open your eyes. It can definitely open your eyes because I don't care what anyone says. There's always room for improvement, and there's always going to be growth. And I've been doing this since 2006, and I'm still every year I can start making lists of like new things I learned or stuff I picked up on, or actually from your track. I copied your microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the microphone you had walking around. I like this thing because the old school Shure microphones have amazing range, unbeatable from what I've seen so far. But they have this pause when you like turn it on. You can't just start talking. You have to wait and then go. And I wanted to throw that thing through the window so many times because I start talking like it's
then you got to start over.
Yeah, and a few other little things super annoying. I always had a clasp on the back end. You had that microphone. I'm like, and I asked you first. Do you mind if I ask where you got this thing? I copied your microphone.
Yeah, no, they were good for what they were, for sure.
I was surprised. Like I liked that thing, so I still use mine. So yeah, everywhere you go, I think it's actually good. And then like the PRO, Ted's been doing it for I don't know. Since the 1800s, I don't know.
25 years or something, I think, right? 20. Yeah. I mean,
29. It was 29 for Top Gun this year.
Was it?
It was 29 years.
Long time.
Was it 20? I don't know.
Was it?
Or was it 19? It might be 19.
Might have been 19.
I think it was 19.
I don't know, but it's been a long time.
Ted Duvall's been doing races a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah, watching him come in, love him or hate him, that guy has been doing it longer than most people. You can learn a few things.
Absolutely.
Well, if you figure out how many times Motorsport won and then add one, that'll tell you how many times they ran Top Gun.
You know what? He's just
far as I
lucky
know,
that
I don't
Team
even
Moto
know.
Monday had some issues,
Yeah.
all right? He's just lucky. All I'm saying.
Hey, we were close to breaking the top 10 this year.
We were not.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was really surprised with last year going into it. We had we made a decision to go to Top Gun 2 weeks prior and no real time to plan, structure, organize, it's sort of just thrown together and let's go racing. And I want to say our whatever our A team or whatever. I think we did 14th or something like that, which was a huge surprise to me, and it was a ton of fun.
Oh yeah.
I'd do it all again. I'm glad I didn't go this last year just because I needed a little more time to heal, and it looked like there was a lot of heavy racing going on down there.
It got a little gnarly.
Yeah, it looked
Over
like
900 entries.
That's insane.
So it was a packed show. I didn't get a race. I decided to slice my thumb open the literally day I was leaving.
yeah, what happened? I saw that.
All right, let me just establish I'm not the world's best mechanic. Okay, I get in a hurry. I don't have a lot of patience, and I had to cut this exhaust bracket off. Couldn't find the gloves because my mechanic had left to go practice, and I didn't know where to put them. And I'm in a hurry. Oh, I'll be fine. I've never had an accident with a die grinder or whatever. Like, it'll be fine. And then as I was cutting, like, maybe it was a good idea to put on gloves. And you know what they say about where the mind goes, the body goes?
Sure.
Just as I'm thinking that, zinc comes over and right across my thumb. Now, it could have been way worse. Mostly just bled like a stuck pig. Like, literally, we're talking, I had to change my underwear, had to change my socks. I mean, it was everywhere. You can ask Michaela Emerson, who is here. She's like, it's just a thumb, Justin. What's going on? Like, I don't know.
How bad was it?
Oh, it almost is healed now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy. I put all the good stuff on it. I'm a little bit of a hippie at times. Like, all my hippie stuff worked out, but
Sure.
it glanced off the bone. Yeah, I could see like the nice little white across there.
You didn't go for stitches or anything?
I had to get to Top Gun.
Yeah, you gotta
I had to get to
do
Top
it,
Gun.
yeah.
I only had like 3 hours to go to get there, and like I ain't got time.
Super glue.
The super glue wouldn't stay in because of the bleeding, so I had a rubber band tourniquet it to stop it enough.
Yeah.
Just covered it with gauze, and eventually, and then I did like hot and cold water back and forth, and then I got it and went out there because I had to run the pit bike race on Friday night.
Oh yeah, true.
And I promised Ted I'd be there, and he was like, "Where are you?" I'm like, dude, you don't even know. Like, I'm working on it, and I got out there just in time. But I was pretty bummed. I'm like, well, there goes my Top Gun racing plans. But we still had a Moto Monday team. We did pretty bad, but we had fun. And
I was gonna say, did you have fun?
Oh, dude, we had a blast hanging out with everybody. I think Aaron McDonald said it was his first Top Gun race in what was like 10 years or something like that. And he was our top finisher. He got second. And I think your class, actually, 30 plus.
Nice.
And trying to remember what was some really good finishes we had. We were all like, for every really good finish, we had a rough finish. We had a few crashes. Ryder Greg somehow managed to flip over the bars going up the hill. I'm not sure how that worked out, but he did a handstand and flipped over the bars going uphill, not downhill, uphill.
Ouch.
So, but we had fun. Anyway, we're not out there to win. It's supposed to be about having fun, you know. We're not dropping 40 G's on trying to get a W. We're just going out and having a good time. And I did have a lot of fun watching. You know, I had to keep walking by these guys' pits, and if anyone was possibly having more fun than me, it was the guys with the pool.
Hey,
Did you guys have a pool?
we did have a pool.
That's awesome.
We had a
brought a
pool.
pool.
We were right in the S turns. So it was like one of the best spots in the house.
Yeah.
I walked
remember.
by, I'm like, that's cheating. No, you guys got a pool?
Huh.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you got to pull out all the stops. I mean, it's 3 days.
You know what? Next year, I'm going to bring one of those portable saunas. Not saunas, the hot tubs. Those blow-up hot tubs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
Oh, I'll do it. I'll do
All
it.
right.
I'll bring out my. They're only like $400 or $500 for those portable hot tubs. You just air them up just like you would, and they have like a little tiny heater. It probably takes 2 hours to heat it,
Sure.
but whatever.
That'd be rad.
Oh,
Until
dude.
someone pops it.
And we had the pits locked down at the Whoops. Can you imagine putting a hot tub by the Whoops? Just kicking back.
That'd be the spot to be. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
I'm liking that plan. Get McCormick in there because his little work area was right next to us.
That's the way to do it.
Jason McCormick, if you're watching, bring your shorts next year. Team Moto Monday. But yeah, you missed out. Last year was good until you had one of the nastiest crashes I've seen, and then the moto before, Brett
Dude, that was so gnarly.
decides to
Yard sale.
use his head like a comet
Yeah.
to plow through the woods of Washougal.
So he and I go over the single into the sand, and I checked up on the triple because it was early in the morning. In the lap before it, I think I almost endoed, got like a funny kick or something. probably whatever. Anyways, so we go over the sand, single into the sand. We're side by side all the way up over the road gap jump, right? And he's to my outside, I believe. And I remember looking over as we land because all I hear is like rev limiter. And I have this mental picture of him ejecting off the back of the bike as he launched like into the trees. And I remember thinking to myself for a split second, like, I should stop. And I'm like, no way, I'm in first place. Like, I'm just going to go. I'm sorry, Brett. But then I think it was close to our last lap. And as soon as I got done, I tried to hustle
the last
up
lap,
there.
yeah.
It was, yeah.
He had just passed you on the last lap, and we were all cheering because it was a great battle.
It was awesome.
It was a good battle.
So much fun.
And then Brett didn't come back down. I'm watching like, oh, no.
Yeah.
I know he had arm pump. You just know.
Oh, dude, I was.
Chucking up the hill. And by the time I got to him, he was still snoring.
Well, I tried to go up there, and like I went through the trails, all the way up to where I guess, I don't know, after you go over the road jump and you take that left-hander and you kind of jump back down somewhere in the woods over there. I couldn't figure out how to go any further, and I just kind of gave up. But I was trying to figure out how to get up to him to make sure he was okay, because that was rowdy. That was super gnarly.
He ended up being okay. I mean, gnarly concussion, but
you got to him first, right? And he was still
I
snoozing.
was booking, dude.
Yeah.
Because I knew Charlotte, his wife, was stuck in the office working, and I'm like, I got to be the next best thing here. And
Sure.
I was like, I'll radio. I told someone at the front door, don't say anything to her for now.
Right.
I'll radio you. And I think I grabbed someone's radio. I don't even remember. I was just like, booking up that hill. And medics had a quad. They beat me, but just barely. When we got to him, he was still snoring.
Yeah.
He was out. But he was pretty much raspberried head to toe, but didn't break anything. You, on the other hand, was it the next day? What was up with that?
It was the next moto, because that was the 30-plus Moto 1 of Sunday.
Yep.
And I was 1-7. So that was at like 8 in the morning or whatever on Sunday. And then, what do you call it, 9:30, 10 o'clock, all hell breaks loose in the 25-plus, I think it was, turn 1. And, yeah, I don't know, ran over, 9 broken ribs and punctured and collapsed lung. And it's still not right, but whatever, send it.
That's motocross for you, man.
That's right.
It's fun, and then it can hurt you.
Oh,
And it's still fun, but I don't know. I mean, do you think that's part of what makes it fun is because we kind of know in the back of our head how dangerous it is?
I do, and I think that's what makes it such a tight-knit, like, close community, is because all of us know, like, the inherent danger. I've skied and snowboarded my whole life. I was a part of semi-pro surfing for many years of my life. I've done a lot of different things, and I've never, ever, in all of the things I've done, seen community like you find in motocross. Like, there's something about this sport that's very, very special. The way that it brings people together. And, perfect example, how you ran probably for everything that you had up that hill, you know what I mean, to get to Brett. Granted, he's your friend, but you probably would have done it if it was anybody, because that's just how the sport is. And
yeah, I think we all know this is pretty dumb what we're doing. This is pretty dangerous, Like, we're going really, really fast on something with 2 wheels that most of the time weighs more than us, and trying to navigate our way around with a bunch of other guys back and forth. I mean, we're all a little bit of crazy adrenaline junkies, but I think that can bring a little more togetherness because we all know we're in this together. We would all really like to get up the next morning.
Oh, absolutely.
I think there's something to be said about that. You go to other sports and you don't always see. It's really interesting. It's different, I guess, vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Each sport has its own kind of vibes, and motocross, it has its ups and downs. There's drama and all that kind of stuff,
Sure.
but it's there's definitely a sense of community.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's special. And I think it's why it's really sank its hooks into me, because I was a trail guy for most of my life growing up. And then my best friend and I, who rode together, he passed in 2005, and I sold all my bikes. I sold everything. And I didn't touch a bike again until it had to be 2013 or 14. And this kid that worked for me, he had a dirt bike, and he was really involved with Strataline at the time. Elaine and Holly and Randy and Jerry were there, and he's like, dude, come out and come ride with us. And I'm like, no, whatever. And he eventually got me out there, and one lap, it's all it took. And the next week I had a new bike, and I've never looked back since. And that's actually kind of where I got my start in tracks and helping and being involved and seeing how it's all done. And I think Jerry Meeker was really the first person to kind of show me the ropes on how to prep a track and what it takes. And I would sit and watch him for hours just out there working the dozer and working the dirt and stuff. And it was cool. It was really cool.
Meeker's been around a while.
Yes, he has.
He's been doing it a while. Now you brought up surfing a minute ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so just how Hawaiian are you? Because I'm noticing the hat, and I'm just curious, like...
So in all reality, I don't know 100%. I was adopted when I was at birth, but what we do know of my biological family, my dad was full Hawaiian. He's from Oahu, and apparently my mom was from California, Southern California. She was a news reporter of some sort, had Irish in her. So I'm kind of a funny mix of Hawaiian and Irish.
You don't no offense. You don't really look Irish, though.
No. But I have like these weird red hues in my hair. But I guess maybe Islanders do a little bit too. But yeah, it was, I lived over there. I moved there in high school, I think my freshman year, to go to a school that was owned by the Cyber family. It was called Maui Ocean Academy. And it was for up-and-coming surfers and windsurfers from all over the world. Yeah, it was pretty cool. There was 18 of us total in the school. My roommate, his name was Sebastian. He was from Spain. There's kids from Germany, France, Switzerland, all over. And I was always accepted as a local kid because I got so dark and people just assumed that I was from the islands.
Gotcha.
So that was cool.
Yeah, is it kind of cliquey there? Like there's the insiders and there's outsiders.
Absolutely.
I've heard that a lot.
Very, very much so. Yeah.
Okay.
Even if you're white and you were born and raised there, like you're accepted, but you're not a part of the family, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So do you think that's probably because there's been such an influx of people it's growing fast. There's people, everyone wants to live in Hawaii.
Yeah.
I mean, whether they know what it's like or not, they've seen enough pictures. Everyone wants to live there, So I can imagine in the past 100 years, there's been a lot of people flooding in. Do you think that maybe is making it a little worse?
Yeah, and a lot of like land that's been passed down generation to generation from the families. Like people have come in and figured out loopholes in the system and basically just taken land from natives, and that's caused a lot of animosity. And it's kind of it's a really double-edged sword because as much as they need and survive on the tourism now, like they were fine the way they were before that.
Yeah.
So, but it's a beautiful place, and
I've never been.
Oh man, it's cool.
Have you been, Bobbie? Have you been to any? You have?
Yeah.
Joe, have you?
Nope.
Okay. At least there's someone else here who.
I'm probably the only one that doesn't want to live there.
See, Mexico.
I don't want to live there. I don't want to live
And
there.
Maui's
right now.
got a pretty sweet
no.
motocross track, actually.
Does it?
Yeah, Maui Motocross Association. You can look it up. They've got an Instagram page. I follow it, and I think there's another track. It's either on the Big Island or I'm pretty sure it's on the Big Island. I see some posts coming out. They've got some pretty good jumps and stuff, like pretty big stuff.
Mark Swart. Remember Mark Swart?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
That was on. He was on Oahu.
Yeah, he was on Oahu. He
So
used
it's
to motocross over there all the time.
Yeah. I forget what it's called, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I've seen a few pictures. Is it it looks like really red dirt?
Yeah, it's like super red clay.
Yeah.
Like imagine the red clay at say Mountain View times 10. Like it's just red, and it's so slippery when it's wet.
Back in '87, I think it was, Steve Panich came from Hawaii.
Really?
Yeah, and he was fast. So there
He's
was
still
something there
around
in
here, isn't
'87 too. Yeah, he's still here.
Yeah.
He went to New York for quite a while. Moved back here
Okay.
a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Flying Hawaiian.
I've sent a few sets
Yeah.
of graphics over there.
Steve Panich.
Only a few, but I've sent a few kits over to Hawaii, so I know there's at least a scene.
Yeah, no, they've got some. I guess, and I never rode any of it, but I guess they've got like super gnarly single track, which makes sense because it's very, very mountainous terrain. I can only imagine, like just the trails and stuff that we would go hike. I can't even imagine riding a dirt bike through some of it. So they've got to have a really
Single
awesome
track makes me sweat, man. I can only imagine what it's like in Hawaii. I mean, the terrain there,
Yeah.
That's not my cup of tea.
Like those volcanic spines. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah.
That would be.
And
be
you
cool.
know, whoever builds them are like, watch this.
Yeah.
Watch what I can do building this trail here.
Yeah.
The problem is, a lot of these people who build these trails are unfortunately very good off-road riders. And they're like, this seems fun. The rest of us are just puckering.
Yeah, just it's pure punishment, 100% of the way.
Oh, yeah. Who was it? We took Daryl Schultz. I went riding the worst off-road ride of my life. Also the most beautiful, but I went riding with Daryl Schultz and a group. I forget what the group was. It was some like benefit. No, it wasn't a benefit. It was some ride day that was organized in Baumgardner, Idaho. First off, experience started off horribly by waking up and going down to the river to get some water, and there's a snake stretched from tip to tip across the road. Apparently they're king snakes or whatever. They brought them in to eat the rattlesnakes. Yeah, they're like the biggest nope rope I've ever seen. Just no. I'm like I'm not even.
I've never heard that.
I'm not even an anti-snake person. Snakes are chill with me. I don't mind reptiles. I look at that thing, and it's bigger around than a Coke can and all of 12, 13 feet wide. The single lane road, it was tip to tip across to sunbathing. I'm looking at, we done.
Yeah.
No. And then we go on this trail ride, and it took us all day to do a 9-mile ride of just over these boulders and stuff. And the whole time, like, who the mother effer built it? Who made it? Like, why?
Yeah.
And I've met a couple of people now who say they're the trail builders, and they're all like AA guys. Like, okay, it makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, the guys who are just savages in that stuff is the ones building it. So when they build their hard trails, they're just like, watch this. They have to be. They're sadistic.
Sure.
Have you, Bobbie, have you done a lot of like, even Jones Creek? There's some stuff even at Jones Creek, which everyone loves play riding on. That's, you're more up north. You don't know Jones Creek. Have you ridden Jones Creek, Bobbie?
Yeah, I've ridden Jones Creek.
Have you hit the cinder block?
Yeah.
Do you know who put in the original cinder block?
No.
Dan Dale.
Really?
in the 70s?
Oh.
Yeah, the cinder block trails you.
Yep.
Another side note. I'm pretty sure that Dan Hewitt's truck came from Hawaii because that was Steve Panich's truck when I first met Steve.
Wait, the red one?
Yep. It was
The one that was McCormick's.
Yeah, it was like
Yes.
the rust-colored primer when
Yes.
Steve drove it. He sold it to, I think, Josh Reed. Josh Reed sold it to McCormick.
And
McCormick sold
McCormick,
it
that was
to
his
Dale-
favorite truck.
to
He still
Dan.
talks about it to this day.
Yep.
And it's chilling over at Mountain View.
Yep, just sitting.
Is it a rust bucket?
No, it could
Really?
use some love.
And that was in like 88
Yeah, I mean, it's
when it
a
came
little.
over, 87, 88.
I'll try to
It was sick.
examine it some more this weekend. Have to
Well,
talk to old Dan because Jason wants it back. I have to check it out.
I'm sure by now it's probably rusty, but a lot of the vehicles from over there are total rust buckets. Everybody just drives beaters. Well, not everybody, but most of the local guys that were surfing and stuff, like having a nice vehicle was the absolute last priority. So you just see beaters everywhere.
Dude, this thing was sick. 4x, long bed Chevy, jacked up with huge tires.
Nice.
And I think it was probably a mid 80s, and he came in 87, so it was probably
Nice.
it was still fresh.
Yeah,
Still
well,
fresh,
Not too
yeah.
many years down that. Yeah, you know, you think about it. You're kind of surrounded by salt water.
Oh yeah,
Things probably do rust pretty good out
Absolutely.
there.
You go through the pineapple fields and there's just abandoned car after abandoned car. That's like what the kids do for fun over there is take your beaters out to the pineapple fields and just rally them until
And
they
I-
break. And,
And
then
I think
leave 'em.
back then you could drive at 15 license
know.
or something. And because Steve moved here and he wasn't 16 yet, but he was using his Hawaii license and he was driving to school and back. He didn't like the line of traffic getting out, so he went up over the curb, through the grass, and out. And then he got caught with his Hawaii license, so he couldn't drive to school anymore until he was 16.
Sounds like something I would have done in high school.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I'm sure the shenanigans we all did.
Yeah, we
in
could
high
have a
school.
podcast.
We could
just
have a whole
about that.
podcast.
Yeah, 100%. Like for each one of us, I'm sure.
I stayed out of trouble I started my business when I was 16, so I stayed out of a lot of trouble. There's still some things I look back like, oh, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
buddy's truck got locked into a school parking lot, so we went and bought bolt cutters and broke all the locks off to go get it. And you know, like dumb stuff like that. You look back, like, yeah, I didn't have a fully developed brain.
Yeah, you're
back
still
then.
young.
Yeah. I try to give a little leniency to some people. I know they're like young, like, hey, I did some dumb stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, we could do a whole podcast on that. You know, and Bobbie, you still owe me a beer. I think we've talked about this a few times. At least you're in town. See, Chris, I didn't get to see him because...
I know, right?
Where exactly do you live?
Olympia, Washington.
Olympia,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
Yeah.
well, even if I've even tried to get him on the show like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, come down.
Dude, it's tough, like with the kids and the wife, and especially when I was working, you know, for the Ridge, like so much time was devoted to that place. You know, the family wants my attention and my time when I'm not there, and so it was really hard to try to fit in
I can only imagine.
You know, you got a pie and you can only slice it so many times.
Dude, and you got a lot of respect from me because I'm a single guy, and I could not be doing the stuff I'm doing if I had a family, because that has to take a precedent.
Dude, it takes a toll. Like my wife, God bless her heart, I don't think I could do the things I do with a lot of women. You know what I mean? Like if I had ended up in a different situation, I'm super fortunate that she loves motocross. Like during Supercross season, she's more passionate about Supercross than she is motocross. So during Supercross season, Saturday nights at our house, that's what we do. We sit down, we watch Supercross as a family, and that's a blessing. It's a huge blessing for me. But it does. It takes a huge toll on the family. And it's give and take, and I struggle at finding that balance at times. I'm sure as we can all relate, you know. But, you know, we love the
Jamie
sport.
used to love motocross and supercross.
Used to? Used to.
Used to.
Uh-oh.
It's the same thing.
So are you telling me I've got different things coming down the
Yeah,
road?
probably.
Yeah, you know what? I have a praying mantis, and that's it. So things are a little simpler for me. And it still gets overwhelming and, like, tough with that.
And you're about to have babies.
Yeah.
That's right.
That thing's getting
Place
kicked
is
out
gonna
when
be-
it's ready to have babies.
I don't have to worry about these fruit flies anymore. Maybe all the babies will eat them.
No, do not need a bunch of baby praying mantises in here.
Aren't you curious, though?
Nah,
No,
I can
you
watch
don't care.
YouTube, bro. I can watch, I can watch baby mantises being born on YouTube. I don't need to have it in person,
Yeah.
and I don't want to have the day where like, oh look, there's 50 of them, and then where'd they go?
It's gonna happen. What are you talking about? The thing lives here. You gonna boot her
No,
out?
We're moving it. It's gonna be an outside mantis now.
Yeah.
You know, just like you get that really bratty inside cat and that pees everywhere. Okay, finally, you're an outside cat now. Same thing. You're an outside mantis.
Good luck.
Thanks.
So I have something. So everyone is probably going to ask this question, and especially everyone wants to know what's your next step.
What's my next step? Right now, I've always got a lot of different ideas and a lot of different thoughts and wishes and dreams and hopes, as we all do, right? But
Oh, yeah.
for now, I'm kind of just keeping an open slate. I'm not committed to anything, although I definitely have my eyes on a few different options. For me, I think that I would do best owning or operating my own facility or lease, where I can make the decisions and have control over the direction of things and how money's spent and all of that stuff. That would be my dream, I guess, in a perfect world. But you know, I'm really keeping an open mind, and I'm not committing to anything. I need to, you know, as we were just talking about, I got a family and kids and stuff that I need to think about. So for me, whatever comes next in the world of motocross, it's gotta be the right fit for all of us, not just myself. I really want to be a medic. As weird as it sounds, like through all of my injuries over the course of my life, and especially my injury from Top Gun last year, I realized that it's something I'm super just naturally curious about and intrigued, is anatomy in the human body and, you know, breaks and injuries and helping people. You know, like helping people is a huge passion of mine. And so tying all of that stuff together, I don't think I want to go through 10 years and $200,000 of debt to be a doctor at 37 years old. So being a medic would be the next best thing. And they get paid pretty good, and they've got a super flexible schedule. It still allows, like, I've got friends that are, captains at fire departments and stuff, and they've got a super flexible schedule. They can still have a life and do the things that they love. So that, to me, is something that I would like to pursue. In fact, I'm waiting for the next session of public testing to come up. And then for Mason County, I know the, what do they call it? Fire Academy starts like January or something. So in my personal life, those are the things that I'm super interested in. In my motocross life, I'm really keeping an open mind about everything. And whatever my move is next, needs to be for the best of my whole family, not just myself.
You've been approached about future
I've
endeavors?
had some conversations with some people, and I'm not going to say who.
Oh,
But
I don't expect you to.
The rumor mill has been
Yeah.
going
it's-
pretty fast right now.
the rumor
Which I was
mill is
wondering if you're going to have an
strong.
announcement if you're going to be on. It took an entire year and a half to get you on the show.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you'd have a big announcement for us.
I wish that I did have a big announcement, but unfortunately I don't yet. But there's a lot of different ideas and things in the works, and I'm excited to come back on this show again sooner than later, and we can have that conversation. But until I get everything 100%, I'm not going to allude to one thing or another or maybes, because we all know that the second you say something's going to happen or I'm working on this,
Totally.
it doesn't happen, right?
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
Are you pretty dead set on staying within the moto industry?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I have to have an outlet in my life or I unravel and, it just all falls apart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I have to have that. And for me, the surfing thing was great. I loved it. I was really good at it. But for me to be competitive and relevant in that sport in Washington, that meant being on the road 3, 4, 5 days a week, chasing wind, swell, tides, everything to find the right conditions to get the media that you need to be relevant. And it was so selfish to the family. I never saw my kids and never saw my wife. Worse than motocross and running a track, and doing that, at least you can stay somewhat local. In motocross you can split out to the track for, even if it's just for a few hours, and come back and go to dinner or whatever it may be in the afternoon. That's possible with motocross.
So you still want to stay working within it, though?
Yes, absolutely.
Have you noticed working, so what has it been, like 3 years working in the industry?
Well,
outside of the shop. So I guess
Yeah.
how long were you at the shop?
about a year and a half. Yeah.
Did you ride more before or after?
Before,
Or during.
Well, I'm sorry. I meant during. I'm sorry.
yeah, I rode more as a track manager and promoter than I did as a shop worker, for sure.
So I have a question. I have a question about that, because you and I have had conversations many times in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and being a track promoter and being a track manager, your personal opinion, do you feel that you can be a better track manager when you ride, or when you just strictly focus on your time as being a track manager?
I think it's crucial to the safety of everybody and putting a good track together that you do ride it. But I think there has to be balance. Like, obviously, when you have a 250 or 300 rider practice day, probably not the best time to go out and spin a bunch of laps. You
course.
got a lot going on. But for example, a Thursday practice when there's 30 people there, go cut some laps. And definitely, if you build new sections and stuff, you should go ride that stuff. And for me, because I'm, CB level rider, and that's kind of the general population, I would say, is about that skill level. So So I think it was really important for me to go and do that stuff. And it was a huge part of why the Ridge ended up being such a favorite amongst all of the riders, because I took the advice from the pros. I saw it from the junior intermediate level rider, and I listened to the beginners and was able to find that balance as best as possible. You can't please everybody.
Oh, no.
You just can't. But, so I guess to answer your question, yeah, I think it's crucial.
I know you drove me crazy with a bunch of sections putting in, but I think we've talked about it many times before. It just makes you a better rider.
Yeah, and that goes back to you can't please everybody. Some of the stuff was not perfect, but, you got to try to find a balance where, maybe some sections weren't the pro level rider's favorite, but they were the beginner level rider's favorite. And some sections the beginners hate and the vet riders hate, but the pros love, so you can kind of cater your track to everybody, even if it means breaking it down by sections.
Yeah, it gets pretty tough because no matter what you do, you're always going to have someone complain about the track layout. Where I've really gone, though, the past few years, you can maybe tell me your thoughts on this, but you take the entire group of riders you have. Let's just go with adults, okay? The pros make up, what do you think percentage-wise? Out of someone who shows up on a good race day, what percentage?
In adults, 18
Adults.
and older?
18, like we're talking 250 classes up, no minis.
2%, 3%.
And intermediates make up?
Maybe 60%. I don't know.
Like the B-level guys.
No. 20 to 30%. Like your majority level riders, your beginners.
I would have said like 7%.
Yeah.
Because, we had 475 riders at Riverdale. Our B class had like 7 guys.
Right.
49 250 beginners.
Yeah.
We had a full gate of 450 juniors. Your target audience should be kind of obvious, and this is where I've kind of been shifting a lot of things. I think you need to focus on them. I feel like some people give a lot of weight to the fast boys, where that's not your bread and butter. Your bread and butter at the track. I'm giving away free advice here, even if it's wrong, it's free. But your bread and butter is a 36-year-old man who used to be a good intermediate, got back into Moto a few years ago. He has a brand new travel trailer, and he's showing up there racing the 30 plus B, 40 plus B, and he's got 2 kids. He's got a daughter in Pee-wees. He's got a son racing 85s, and he's there for the whole weekend doing practice on Saturday, race on Sunday, however the format is, but he's there for the whole thing, whole shebang, and all of them are doing 2 classes. There's your bread and butter.
I would agree.
Why are we building stuff for the 2%?
Right.
No offense to them, because I really want to see these kids, these fast kids, achieve their dreams. I want to see them line up. And I've had the opportunity to see some of these riders, such as Max Harris. He was over here, and and Max watching.
He just joined.
Max Harris, I have his Cobra 50 graphics on file. And I got to see him race National Arena Cross. It was wild for me. I was like, that's cool. Watch him go through the ranks and go through all the steps it took to get there to go pro. Really tough being a Northwest local pro, or any part of the country. But, local pro before you even go privateer, it's pretty tough. I mean, you got to try to train and get to the next level going off of 0 funds.
Right.
So I get it, it's tough, but they're really not your bread and butter. It's the families. It's the families and the 30 plus CB guys. And man, there's been a lot of beginners, which kind of excites me. I don't know what it's been like at the Ridge, but I know Mountain View and Riverdale, huge beginner turnouts, which to me says new people or people getting back into it.
Yeah.
Which I think is healthy. I think, we need more new blood.
Yeah. New ridership is huge. I would agree. I think it's important that you do the best you can to try to cater to both sides of it. One thing that I've always been super passionate about is the progression. I love seeing people progress and grow as riders. For example, this dude right here, he used to hate ruts, hated them. And now when I'm
with you.
I would text him and I would say, what do you want the track like this weekend? And he would say, I want it ruddy. I want it deep. I want ruts. And to me, that was really exciting because it meant that what I was doing had helped him as a rider progress, and he's trying to find, a different approach to the sport. I've got a couple of different opinions here, but I think generally speaking, there's a difference between a rough track and a track that's unmanageable for beginner level riders. I think that a rougher track slows things down. The only way to get a rough track is to have softer dirt, pliable material. That means that it's softer when you hit the ground, right? Slower speeds, softer dirt, less injuries. That's always a good thing. So, I think for the Northwest, one thing that we've always lacked is you look at all of the Southwest and Texas and Tennessee and back east, the tracks are gnarly. In the amateur programs, the kids are fast. That's crazy because they get used to riding in that stuff. And I don't mean this with any disrespect, but a lot of the riders from the Northwest get their butts handed to them when they go to these larger events because they're not used to that.
I think we get spoiled.
We
get
do.
a lot of nice, groomed, smooth tracks around here.
And so if somehow we can find a way, and I don't know what the answer is to this, we could debate on it for years, but find a way to find a happy medium where, maybe Saturdays are more of a national prep, but you still leave the outsides friendly for the beginner level riders so that it's all passable. It's all rideable.
Yeah.
Jump faces aren't rutted and crazy and sketchy. Landings are safe, all that stuff. But you still get some good braking bumps. People can cut their teeth on that. And then maybe Saturday is more of a friendly vet prep. You don't put as much water. You don't rip it as deep. And try to start to develop these riders naturally over a period of time. And start to slow things down a little bit and get the dirt softer, get the injuries less, especially as we see the beginner classes grow. A lot of them don't have the state of mind to know when to back out and when to stop pushing that ragged edge. So if we, as promoters and track managers and people who do the dirt work, can, sort of mediate that a little bit by naturally slowing things down, it helps, and it develops more race lines and stuff. But again, it's a fine line, it's a fine balance, and it's very, very hard to achieve because no matter what you do, somebody's not happy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's zero chance you'll ever make everybody happy in anything, but especially at the track.
Yeah.
No, there's zero chance. But it is what it is. And are these all strategies that you plan to take over to what track again? You're going to?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I know there's been a lot of rumors. People have asked me if I'm going to Grace Harbor. I don't have any commitments to them as of right now. It just so happens that is the closest track to me. It's 20, 25 or 30 minutes from my front door. And, I know a lot of people have different opinions about the facility and how it's prepped. I've had a ton of fun riding there the last several weeks since I left the Ridge. It's been good. But for me, underneath all of this stuff that's going on, it has a special place because it's where I started with all of this. So that's what brings me there. It's not because I have a commitment to them or that's where I plan on going, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So now, how stuck are you to where you're living right now? And I know this was actually a question asked before. Pretty happy with where you're at or secure, or are you open to the idea of maybe dropping roots somewhere else?
I would say that we're open to it, but it would have to be like a pretty phenomenal opportunity I know for Courtney and myself, the single most important thing for us is our kids, and they're in a phenomenal school district. All their friends are in the school district that they're in. My son's involved in football. My daughter's been playing soccer for years.
That would be huge to try to uproot all that, what you got going on. But if the absolute right offer I think everybody, though, there's always, the right offer.
Sure.
But if it wasn't the right offer, you'd really rather not.
Right.
Yeah. Which makes total sense.
It would have to be perfect almost in a sense. But Actually, it's funny that you asked that because Courtney and I were literally just talking about this today. And, you know, maybe possibly having to move at some point in time, depending on what develops down the road. And so the thought's there. We're open to it, but it'd have to be perfect.
So right now, just kind of looking at some options. So people who've been getting all excited, maybe going over here, maybe going over there, just need to all maybe chill for the moment.
I just want to ride my dirt bike right now and kind of, I don't want to say make up for lost time, because the last 3 years of my life have been amazing. Even though it's been some of the most challenging, hard work years of my life, I learned so much, and I opened up some doors within myself, skill sets that I have, and stuff that I would have never known otherwise, you know. And to me, I'm super grateful for those opportunities. But for now, I want to ride my dirt bike. I want to spend time with my kids, like being able to go to all my son's football practices through the week and be there on game day Saturday morning, like. That's priceless right now to me. And then go, you know, if I can, sneak away and ride dirt bikes on Sunday. Life's good.
I think you have to ride a little bit. I mean, if you are a rider and get into this, like just me personally, if I go to my own events and I don't ride, I get a little cranky. I get a little grumpy. It's like it's not the same. And I'm watching everyone else have fun, even if I get a spin just a couple laps.
Yep.
But why I mentioned earlier, like how much did you ride, like during, you know, for example, promoting and stuff, is I'm sure you've noticed this sport can chew people up and spit them out the other end for those working within it, and it can really kill you wanting to ride. But I feel like you kind of have to. Then it reminds you why it's fun, why you're doing it. So my dad used to own a pretty good sized motorcycle shop. The sport chewed him up, spit him out, shut down the shop randomly one day with an inventory of, I don't know, dozens of bikes, and so just tore everything off the shelves, eBayed it off, and moved 4 hours away. That's how much he was just done with everything. Done. And he's still, to this day, he's just got back into it because of pit bikes. I dragged him to his first race since 2009 by pit biking. Pit biking was the end to get him back in. Now he's having a little fun. But I grew up with that, and that kind of that's been a reminder, like, yeah, it can burn you out, man. And you forget to ride. I like that you still ride, but I mean, it can get tough.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
And sometimes you don't really feel like it because you're obsessed every day of doing this, and everything revolves around bikes. The idea of throwing your boots on and actually riding with them, sometimes like, oh, you think of how much work it would be. And at your event, well, I know I have to do this. I see you running around. I know you're, but you know, you always have to take care of the loose ends. But I think it's healthy. If you got into this as a rider, stay riding.
Well, and for me, I noticed a huge, like, I was, and I have to be careful what I say, but I was able to ride since I was hired, you know. I rode all the time. And I felt that I was always pretty aware of when it was a good opportunity to ride and when it wasn't. A few key things happened. Nothing major, but a few things happened where I think upper management and ownership thought, well, if you hadn't been on your dirt bike, this could have been addressed. But I don't know, like, it would have been handled in the same manner no matter what, in my opinion. But I can see where they're coming from. But that got shut down. And I noticed that's where, like, I could have been having the worst day in the world. And I would have seen an opportunity to go spin a couple laps, and it's like, okay, cool,
even if you're
reset. You know,
leave your bike up to wherever you're next to the dozer, or when I'm announcing, I leave it next to the stand. Go spin a couple laps. I think it's good for your head. I think it's good for your head.
I do too. Speaking of pit bikes, I know at some point in time, my good buddy Kevin Holt from Southbound Honda and I have been talking about potentially doing a cool event with pit bikes. So you and I are going to have to get together with him on that.
Oh, you know, I get excited about pit bike talk. Like, you won't. I won't shut up.
Yeah, no, we want to do something cool. In fact, I had brought it up to him last week. He's just a dear friend to me, and that's actually who. If I'm going to say I'm attached to anybody or affiliated with anybody, 100% I'm affiliated with Southbound Honda.
I was going to say, if Reese shows up, Honda. Honda.
Oh yeah,
Honda.
you're singled
Honda.
out. Oh, you're
No,
a Honda.
I own
All right.
Honda.
Hey,
I will still
This
make
is Reese's
anti-Honda
show.
jokes,
Where the
though.
heck
Oh,
is he?
yeah.
I hope he wasn't back there earlier. There's
You
a
know-
whole table of Honda.
I'd
you
rather
might
just
not
talk
like
pit
it,
bikes.
They're
but
good
you
ones.
I'd
own
rather
a
talk.
Honda. Wait. You have 2 Hondas.
That's right. You got a CRF.
No, technically I have
No.
4.
Yeah, he's got the old
I got the SL. No, wait. I have an SL70, an XR80, CR450, BBR with a CR50 engine.
vintage.
Oh, and I have a 1978 CR125. I have 5 Hondas.
Nice.
And I still hate Hondas. It's just,
Whatever.
It's just how it happens. It's just how it works out.
Get out of here.
Dude, pit bikes don't really count, though.
No.
They're whatever. I am, you know,
No,
what?
they
I'm
don't, but you
excited,
still
though.
have 2.
Thank you. I'm excited. I got Bobbie Casteel on a pit bike, and I think I got him hooked, even though you got a little messed up. But I think I got him hooked.
dude, that cut got infected pretty bad.
Yeah, dude.
Well,
So just a tad. But
it was a good time, though, wasn't
I wouldn't
it?
change
We
it for
even
the
got a
world.
race together.
We did. You didn't put me in the corner like you do Reese, which I'm happy about. But
No, but you know the one person I did put over a berm that I maybe shouldn't have was Dwayne Brown.
Oh, Carson's gonna come back.
Carson got
Vengeance.
video of it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he give you a high five?
No, but Dwayne told me because okay, I'm sorry, Dwayne, because I wasn't supposed to race because I sliced my thumb, but I was like, it's killing me watching them all ride, and so I talked to my mechanic Zach. He's like, okay, go grab that guy's bike. Bob had this nice custom Rig 50, and I'm like, I guess I'm racing the 150 class. It's the last one, and so I walked up like halfway up the line as the starter, like I was gonna start it, and then turned around, ran over, passed the flag off, threw on the sweaty helmet of Zach's, hopped on a bike that was not mine, and it had little 10-inch wheels in the 150 class. And I had to make sure, still show everyone I still got it.
Nice.
Left blood all over his grips, but I didn't feel it at the time though.
No,
And
you
went out
never
and had
do.
fun afterwards. Like, okay, that was a really bad idea, but
See,
it was worth it. It was worth it.
that brings up a good point.
Oh, no.
Where, no. So where you don't feel it. So that kind of comes back to kind of what I deal with like every day.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know that I live with constant pain on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So, and that's one thing that was kind of the whole premise with why I jumped on VetMX when I did, was because, hey, when you get on a bike, all that goes away. Like your thumb goes away, like my pain goes away. It all goes away for, even if it's just for 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, everything goes away. So that's where my riding addiction comes from, is that I can't get enough of it because it's one of the few times I don't have to take medication, or I don't have to do this, or I don't have to do that. I can literally just sit there. I can literally just ride, and that adrenaline takes over, and it literally it's bliss.
Yeah. I can relate.
We had a good talk about. We've had actually a few good talks about this, but when I had you on, I don't remember which episode it was. It's been a minute since we've
Yeah,
had
it
you
has
on,
been.
Bobbie. But I think it's so. I laid out these pens. You guys probably can't really see on camera, but this is all the things going on in your head when you're riding, or especially racing, competing, especially competing with your buddies and stuff. These are all the different things going on. Or you may be thinking about how much your hand hurts, or you may be thinking about how that old broken leg, or, my wife is still cheating on me and I'm still whatever. Okay, I went deep. Sorry. But whatever it is, when you're out riding, there's one thing.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
You can't focus on anything else. I don't know if it's like just fully tapping into the fight or flight, or, but it goes away. It's gone. It's
Well,
whoosh.
Well, I think that's one thing. Like when Dustin and Cody started the VetMX Foundation back in when they started a few years ago, that was kind of what it was. Is that it taps into that fight or flight mentality, and it's actually been recognized by the VA that it is a therapeutic.
It's a form of therapy.
Yeah, it is a form of therapy, and it is recognized by the VA that it is a form of therapy on some
100%.
in some way.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's in general, like in just general life, whether it's depression, whether it's pain, whether it's anything else, it literally is that form of therapy. So, and Steve, I'll get to your comment in a minute.
Yes, and we're going to have to shut this show down here in just a minute. We will be back with an after show. Have some fun on there. We got some giveaways.
Nice.
We're going to talk about
Sweet.
Flat Earth and about Sasquatch.
Oh, I love it.
What's that?
We can talk.
We are not talking
We're
about
not,
national
no.
numbers, Joe, but we are going to talk about Sasquatch. Okay?
I'm down with that.
Are you down?
Sasquatch
you're,
or
You're
Sasquatch?
from Olympia, a little more towards Sasquatch country.
Yeah. And I was born and raised out Cooper Point, which was like 2 miles down the road from Evergreen State College. For those of you who don't know, that's like the hippie capital of the world. I spent many years on that campus skateboarding and stuff, so I've heard it all.
I will say, though, I think they were slightly wrong on where he came from because I've been to Montana, and I've
Yeah.
been to some smaller towns in Montana, and there's chunks of that land that I don't think man has touched.
Yeah.
It gets wild. Like, this is a lot of nothing.
Yeah.
It's just nothing. Like, it just, you look around and I'm like, I'm slightly uncomfortable with how nothing this is. And I'd like, I could disappear and no one would know or care.
Sure.
It doesn't matter at this point, you know. You're just another just little walking thing among with all the other little living things that come and go and die. You know, there's still some untouched areas out there. So maybe there's a Sasquatch. Maybe there's not. Oh, we'll talk. Maybe we'll do that on the after show. But Joe's like, crap.
I'd like to touch on the national number thing. I'm curious.
Oh no, no!
Chris, that's a
we'll
whole
save it
show.
for the after
That's
show.
a whole show.
That's if you get Joe going on this, it's not going to be pretty.
Really?
It's.
But
not
I'm
gonna be pretty.
curious to. I mean,
Well-
like you said, he's a man of few words, so obviously he's got something. To
We need
say.
a few minutes for this, so that's why we're saving until after.
Okay. All right.
The after shit show.
Oh boy, and here it comes. So yeah, we'll be back literally just in a couple minutes, and we'll set everything up after show. Chris, thank you for coming on, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
I'm glad you finally got on. Took a while to convince you, but
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit of a drive to get you here. I know you're a busy man, so I appreciate you taking the time to
Sure.
come hang out with us. We'll talk some more about this new track venture that I will drag out of you. Bobbie, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
It's always a pleasure talking with you. Once again, I mean, we could literally have a 5-hour podcast, I think, not get bored.
Yeah.
We
No,
have to do another show.
this is
We
a
can
good
do
time.
another show. Is there anyone we could really throw in to make it spicy, though?
That was a 3-piece show for me. That was a long show.
Oh, shit. Is there anyone we could really throw in to make it spicy if we were
Reese.
to do this again? Like, maybe finally bring on Huffman?
Sure.
That and the both times that I've been on, Reese has not been on the show. You realize that, right?
Where's he been? Just MIA?
Probably
Reese.
riding roundy rounds.
Oh, boy.
Probably riding roundy rounds. You know, he's all into those roundy, which I hear there's a
So-
lot of roundy rounds at the Ridge, right?
So there's actually, I think I actually talked to Huffman at Top Gun.
I did too.
So
What did he say?
He actually said he would be interested in doing something for VetMX.
Like,
Come on, Moto
at the-
Monday for VetMX.
Like at the track, like for a class or a special event.
Oh,
That'd
yeah,
be sweet.
like a class.
Oh, okay. Can we talk about it anymore, or do we have to be hush hush?
It hasn't been really. We haven't really talked about details, but he said he would be interested. That's all I'm going to put out there.
That's progress. That's cool.
So I
Hey,
just
what-
want to say thank you to Ryan Huffman for actually saying that, bringing
Okay.
that up as well.
Whatever you do, I would
No,
love
you're there.
to lend my wherever you see me fit, I'm there.
No, you're there for 100%.
Yeah.
So my goal, just so everyone knows for next year, my goal is to put on a riding clinic for veterans. That is what I really want to accomplish next year. So I'm in the process of stages of how do we get to that point, but it's going to happen one way or another, and I will make it. I'll make it happen, even if I got to put up some of the bills my own and fork out the money myself. I'm gonna make it happen because I think that this cause is huge, and the other one that offered to help as well is Rob Manning. I've worked with Rob in the past quite a bit, and Rob's a good guy. So
Rob Mohawk Manning.
that's right. Dude's an animal.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So would this class be for any vets? And are we trying to introduce the sport of motocross to maybe people who haven't experienced it?
That's part of it, but I
Okay.
also think part of it is for the vets that have experienced it that are afraid to get out on the track as well.
Okay.
Because there's a thing, and we can go on topic about this on the after show, but real quick is that there's a lot of vets out there that just practice that are so afraid of racing
Sure.
because they're afraid of getting hurt. And that's the huge thing. That's the huge thing why I try to introduce the warrior class.
Yeah.
And that's the huge premise behind the warrior class is it gives those veterans that place to ride where they know they're not going to get taken out by someone inadvertently or on purpose.
Well, and I saw that firsthand and I can't remember her name, and I'm sorry.
Mary
but
Neff.
Mary Neff.
Yep.
Last year, end of the year awards banquet, flat out said on stage that she would have never raced if it hadn't been for that warrior class and the fact that she knew everybody out there was just out there to race and have fun. Nobody was trying to hurt each other. Nobody was trying to take each other out. You know, she knew that everybody wanted to get through turn one safe. And that to me spoke volumes and made my efforts in trying to, you know, promote and support the warrior class 100% worthwhile, because that's what it was about, you know. And yeah, I'd love to be involved, dude, especially to get some people on dirt bikes that maybe have very little to no experience with it and introduce them to the sport. And I'm in.
Yeah. And that's the thing, and it comes down to trying to figure out promoting that, trying to get people, trying to figure out how to reach out to those people that don't necessarily know, because for example, a lot of people don't listen to Moto Monday that aren't into motocross, right? So now it's that premise of sitting down, putting heads together of like, how can we reach out to those people? I've already started it with Mary, because Mary's got an office up at Lewis and McCord.
Mm-hmm.
I now have business cards, and I've gave her business cards and gave her some pamphlets and things like that. Justin has helped me immensely with like flyer design and things like that, just getting it going.
Cool.
And so now I have that. Now I have that to kind of pass out and at least get the word out. And she has it in an office, and she's had a lot of people take them and start showing an interest. So that's my goal, is just, I want to see more vets, and I do want to see more people in the sport, but I think that we can reach out to some of those vets with PTSD or something like that can actually really, it helps get rid of that pain or that mental anguish that they all go through, because a lot of people don't understand what it's like mentally, what it's like to be in their shoes. Yeah. I don't think any of us can even put into words. I can't even put it into words. So that's my goal for next year. And definitely you are. Oh yeah, for sure.
Sweet.
I like it. See, it's all positive stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
100%.
It's going to be a good
100%.
2020,
It is.
which I can't believe it's coming up so fast.
I know.
That's what she said.
Joe, you had...
There was a lot of them. I passed up on a lot.
Joe. Okay. Well, on that note, time to shut this down. We'll be back in just a few minutes for the after show. Thank you, everyone. Joe, thank you for containing your "That's what she says" to the very end.
Lots of them.
That's also what she said. Anyways,
Keep it classy.
have a good night, folks. Or actually, never mind. Just be back in like 5-10 minutes. All right.
See
Be
ya.
out of here.
Thank
Back
you.
in just a minute.
Thank you guys.